It's Wednesday. Week 5 of the NFL season is coming up. That's Jacob. I'm Adam. Let's go. Welcome back to the webcast, All Sports One Web. It is week 5 of the NFL season. Thursday night game tomorrow between the Bears and the Washington Commanders. And we are doing our picks through ESPN's. Go ahead and make your account and pick along with us. We went 10-6 last week. Fell backwards in the overall rankings. Let's hope we can go back to winning ways and get on closer to that perfect score and move up these rankings. But we got to start with the Bears and the Washington Commanders in Washington tomorrow night. The Bears blew a 21-point lead. Justin Fields with that fumble instead of just taking that sack. Fumble recovered for a touchdown, followed by a incomprehensible decision not to kick the go-ahead 35-yard field goal with 2 and some change left in the game. Russell Wilson goes down, and they're able to kick the game-winning, what ended up being the game-winning field goal. But who do you got in this one?
Yeah, so what a deflating loss for the Bears. Like they look like they finally had.
They pulled a Denver.
They pulled a Denver against Denver. It looked like they had the win all locked up. It looked like Justin Fields started the game, I think, 22 for 23. He was having a great game, and then he just dropped the bag. It's tough to see, and I feel like they're bound to get a win, but I think I'm still leaning Commanders here at home. Bears have to win one, but I don't think it's here.
Yeah, I would love, like you said, I'd love to be able to go with Justin Fields, but they are basically turning into what the Raiders were last year, what the Denver Broncos were last year, and already this year. And until they prove otherwise, I cannot go with them. 22 out of 23 completions to start the game for Justin Fields, a 120-something QBR, 21-point lead. You then go ahead and blow it through bad coaching, bad clock management, whatever you want to end up with. You could pick a number of reasons for why that didn't end up going. I got to go Washington there at home. Jacksonville in their second home in London will take on the Bills, who will technically be the home team. Jacksonville stayed over in London after that win against the Falcons with that Toy Story. I don't know if you got a chance to check that out. That Toy Story game just reminded me of NFL Blitz, to be honest with you. I love the flame coming through the back as well when they were running up the sidelines. Andy's room. But who do you got in this one? Buffalo with that commanding win last week against the Dolphins. Von Miller maybe coming back for this one.
Bills with the absolute statement win last week, and kind of showed people that you can kind of contain Miami if you have a good enough defense. What a huge win for the Bills, especially, again, they started off the season so bad against the Jets, losing that game. But they look so good. Allen and Diggs are absolutely amazing together. Even though Jacksonville didn't have to travel, they stayed in London for this week. Kind of an interesting dynamic with the Bills going overseas to play this game and Jacksonville just staying there the whole week. I think it's going to be one of the better London games we've seen. Usually we send some of the bad teams over there. But I think this will be a close game, but I think Bills take it.
Yeah, I like the Bills as well in this one. Josh Allen, after that poor performance week 1, having an MVP caliber season in these last 3 games. That Miami Bills game was so incredible. The first incompletion wasn't until I think halfway through the second quarter. Tua started off on fire. Josh Allen and the Bills started off on fire. Touchdown. I think Buffalo continues it. Von Miller being there. Obviously DeMar Hamlin starting last game. We'll see how many snaps he'll get in this new one. But I think that energy is there. The focus is there. And even having to travel, I think, won't be a problem for Buffalo. Atlanta taking on Offensive Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud, one of the best starts to a career in NFL history for the former Ohio State quarterback. I had question marks about his poise under pressure, especially leaving Ohio State. I thought he could have done better with one more year. I thought Bryce Young was the better pick coming out of college. But C.J. Stroud is definitely shutting me up with this one. His performances last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers of all teams, the composure, the decision-making, him and Nico Collins, 120 yards through the air. Absolutely fantastic performance. That pairing is going to be great in Houston for years to come. Can they go into Atlanta and keep this rolling against Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, so interesting matchup. I think two of the objective biggest standout rookies in Bijan Robinson and obviously CJ Stroud. I think CJ keeps rolling. I don't think the Falcons stop his momentum right now. I think it's going to be another close game. I could see Atlanta taking it at home, but my money's on Texans for this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Desmond Ridder being able to get the ball down the field. I think Houston will do okay with Bijan Robinson. It's just whether or not Desmond Ridder can come through, and I just don't think he can. So roll, Texans, roll. I never thought that they would get to 3 wins this early in the season. Season total, I think 5.5 for the Texans. They could already have 3 in the books by week 6, which would be incredible. All right, Detroit, another 10 days off for them as they got a win on Thursday night in Green Bay with that dominating performance. They will host Carolina. Bryce Young, we'll see, where he's at injury-wise, having that concussion, missing last week, if I'm not mistaken, with that concussion. See if he comes back. But do you see anything but a Lions win with or without Bryce Young?
No, I think the Lions... another statement win last week against the Packers. They really have established themselves early on as definitely playoff contenders. Yeah, I think the Lions look really good right now. I'm going Lions.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I mistake. Bryce Young was back last week in the loss to Minnesota. I still don't think it'll matter. Detroit will take this one at home. Yeah, I see nothing but a Detroit win with that one. Tennessee taking on the Colts. Tennessee winning 5 consecutive games against the Colts. Will Jonathan Taylor play? He practiced full today. We will see. He's got that 21-day window now where they can basically evaluate him and decide whether he's going to be going back on the PUP list, unable to perform list, or be able to be kind of a regular member. He's healthy. He's been telling us he's healthy even before he was put on the PUP list. Will he get the ball? Tennessee the only team allowing under 3 yards per carry as a defense. So Anthony Richardson is going to be playing this game. Jonathan Taylor could be a great little weapon for him, but against this great Tennessee run defense, statement win last week. Can they keep it rolling in Indy?
This is probably the hardest. There's a lot of hard games to call this week, but this is definitely one of them. Derrick Henry looked amazing last week. Tannehill's showing signs of life again. He's looking like a decent quarterback again. I almost want to pick a draw for this one. I don't know which way to go.
Well, it is a division where all the teams are 2-2. So I mean, it's basically that's what they're playing to. So someone's going to have to take a winning advantage, and it's just it's hard to figure out who that's actually going to be. For me, I think I'm going to roll Titans in this one. I don't think they'll get Jonathan Taylor going fully. I think it will help Anthony Richardson, but they're only going to have 2 days to practice with each other. Yes, it's easy to just turn and hand him the ball, but I think in order for him to be effective, it's going to be similar to the Aaron Jones role, where we were hoping last week against Detroit with that fantastic defensive line that Detroit has, that Aaron Jones would be able to pop out, get a little dump down and be able to take on, in space and get that first down and help them move down the field when needed. I think Jonathan Taylor will need to be that in this game. I don't think he'll be used or have that going enough because he hasn't started the season. Yeah. And so I think not to fall into the same trap that I did with the Lions Packers. I'm going to go with Tennessee, even though they are on the road in this one. The Giants have to travel on the road after. I don't even know how they're going to peel Danny Dimes off the turf after 11 sacks on Monday night, but they're going to have to peel him off, put him on a plane, and send him to Miami to take on that speedy offense, that speedy defense, and Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. Anything but a Dolphins win. I feel like 2% is too high for the Giants.
Yeah, 2% is way too high. This is going to be Dolphins are licking their lips to face the Giants after that tough battle against Buffalo last week. The Giants look horrible. Look, just watching their coach on the sideline, like it just they're in a bad spot right now. And yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, my favorite. Daboll goes over or he's asked at the press conference about what he told to Daniel Jones after that interception for 97 yards return for a touchdown late there in the fourth quarter. And he's like, I was just trying to talk to him and see what he was seeing. I was telling him what I was seeing and why he was seeing it. And he's like, oh, well, what did you want from him for that play? What did you want from him for that play? He's like, well, just not to throw an interception. Oh, that would have been great.
It didn't look like he was handling the morale of the players so well. He's obviously throwing the tablet. Like Daboll's really got his work cut out to rally the troops because I think Barkley coming back will obviously help the offense get going, but yeah, tough matchup against.
Don't think it'll be enough. Yeah, points are going to be scored on the other side. This game, maybe not. Mac Jones and an injured Derek Carr will square off in this one. The shoulder, a continuing issue over the years for Derek Carr. He could make some of the throws though, pretty decently against Tampa Bay. It just seems like the Saints were out-muscled in the 50-50 jump balls in the end zone, the line of scrimmage for that extra yard to get a first down. They couldn't convert any drives into touchdowns, only field goals for the Saints. They got to travel to New England, who took a beating from Dallas and that defense in Dallas's redemption. You got a Patriot redemption here?
I think I do. I think this is slightly skewed because, like you said, the beating they just took from the Cowboys handing Belichick his worst loss ever as a Patriot head coach. But the Saints offense just can't get it going, and I don't see them scoring enough points to beat the Patriots at home. I actually like Patriots in this one.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara, great to see him back out there. He was getting used more and more, which is exciting. I think he could have a decent day. I think Belichick will be ready. I do think my trust in New England is going down. But I will ride with you on this one for a Patriots victory at home. As we move on to a great historic rivalry, 91% picking Baltimore. Is that because no one has faith in Kenny Pickett after his 18.8 QBR game last week? All right, that makes sense to me. Let's roll Ravens in Pittsburgh in this one. The team is only getting healthier. We know how great they can be when healthy. Lamar Jackson, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns last week.
Lamar's looking great. I think he struggles a little bit more against this good Steelers defense, but the Steelers just can't score on offense, so I don't see how they win.
Yeah, I think a low-scoring game overall.
Definitely
but I
low
think
scoring.
The Ravens will have just enough to edge them in that one. Eagles, a tight one in Washington, have to travel all the way across the coast to take on the Rams. 2 teams looking to get back to the Super Bowl as they have in years past. Matthew Stafford might get Cooper Kupp back a little bit. He's back in practice. We'll see. I think he's going to be out for a little bit longer, but he is back in practice there at the facility. Maybe a boost for the Rams. Puka Nacua obviously doing the work in his absence, 100+ yards every single week. It seems like over 500 yards receiving on the season. Him and Justin Jefferson, the only 2 to do that so far this year, on pace to both break records. You got the Rams over the Eagles in this one, or Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, so Eagles are obviously playing super well. They've undefeated record. I don't think they're playing good enough to be an undefeated team. I think they're bound to lose one. I think that it's the NFL and they're not going 17-0 this year. Like they're gonna lose the game. I think they've fallen off a little bit from last year. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Rams. I like Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua to take this.
Upset of the week, the Rams to take down the Eagles at home in SoFi. The long travel after that overtime win in Washington. We know Aaron Donald's going to be Aaron Donald. That offense is getting going. They finally, I don't know how long it's been since Todd Gurley has left, but they finally have a reliable-ish run game as well. 2-2 on the year, but I agree. Let's go Rams. Knock off the undefeated Eagles. Cardinals and Bengals both sit at 1-3. One team I think is doing better than expected, even with one win, and one team is doing way worse than expected with one win. Yeah. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The Bengals they can't get something going. And if I've learned anything in the year and a half of doing picks, it is do not mess with trends. And the trend right now for the Bengals is they just cannot get it going. And until I can see offensively them get it going, we know defensively they're kind of shaky. It seems like so far this year, allowing a lot of yards on the ground. I'm going to have to lean Arizona at home. We know what that defense is going to bring. Joshua Dobbs maybe having his similar Geno Smith type year as he did last year, where he's just starting to pick it up, a journeyman around the league and kind of establishing himself. You got the Cardinals or the Bengals in this one?
Yeah, so I keep thinking the Bengals are going to figure it out and look like the Super Bowl contenders that they were just a couple of years ago. And Joe Burrow got some good news, I think. His calf injury is doing better. But like you said, until they can actually figure it out and look good, even in their win, they didn't look good. Jamar Chase obviously had a great game in their win. But the offense, there's still just – they weren't clicking. There's something off. I think Joshua Dobbs looks absolutely awesome. And, yeah, like you said, until the Bengals – actually have a convincing win, I'm going to have to pick against them until they figure it out.
Yep. James Conner, I think we'll have a great day, and I think that pass rush will get to Joe Burrow too much and cause some issues. What to do with the Broncos? We will never pick the Broncos, I said. They will never win, I said. And then they went and played the Bears, who had 10 penalties like the Broncos usually do, blew a lead like the Broncos usually do, had a poor coaching decision like the Broncos usually do, and they get the win. And now they're playing Zach Wilson, who for the entire time of his professional career, everyone thought he was terrible. And then he goes and almost beats the Chiefs with a great performance at home under the lights, maybe some questionable refereeing there. And now the Broncos are at home, and I either got to pick between Zach Wilson or the Broncos, and I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is really hard to call because you never want to pick the Broncos, right? But you also never want to pick Zach Wilson leading a football team. He did look good. It's kind of funny seeing everyone reach out to him and say how well he played the other day, despite still losing the game. But I think the Jets are actually a pretty solid football team, and Zach Wilson actually made some very good throws the other day, some back shoulder throws that, like, you don't do if you're not a decent passer of the ball. I like Jets to beat a bad Broncos team.
Jets, Jets. I agree. I just can't get myself to do it. I don't know why. I just can't get myself to do it. So I'm going to go with the Jets with that defense. The only thing in that game that I could rely on is that Jets defense. That's it. Anything, that's the only thing. So let's go Jets. Kansas City take on, after beating the Jets, will now travel to Minnesota, who got their first win of the season by taking on Carolina in maybe a little bit more scarier fashion than we would have liked. But they'll take on Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and that offense. I see a very high-scoring game in this one, but I will lean Chiefs with the 91% that are taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, so we picked the Vikings last week, hoping they would figure it out and stop turning the ball over. They didn't do that at all. They still turned the ball over and looked really bad at times doing that. However, they finally got a W on the board. I don't think the Vikings can figure it out, though, and they're not going to figure it out against the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes kind of played a little bit of a lax game. I don't think he gave the Jets defense the respect they deserve, knowing he was going against Zach Wilson. Obviously, he kind of knew that was an easier game. I don't know, maybe they're too caught up in all this Taylor Swift drama. Yeah, I like the Chiefs to continue winning with Swift in the stadium.
Yeah, I wonder if she will travel again with the team as she did to New Jersey. Minnesota might not be that exciting of a place as New York. But anyway, an exciting place will be San Francisco when the Cowboys travel to, yes, I'm still going to call it Candlestick. I don't even know what to call it anymore. To me, it's Candlestick Park. San Francisco, Levi's Stadium. Okay. And as the Cowboys look to avenge their past postseason woes against Brock Purdy and that Niners defense, Christian McCaffrey also throwing his hat in the MVP race. 4 touchdowns last week, no big deal from a running back. Dak, obviously, with that great performance against New England at home, but can he do it on the road at Levi Stadium?
I think this is the game of the week. This is the game I'm most excited to watch. Obviously, the 49ers are at jeopardy of losing their undefeated record and Brock Purdy's perfect regular season record. I kind of wanted to pick Cowboys, but I don't see the Niners losing at home. I'm going to have to lean 49ers, but I think this is an incredibly close game. But I think the Niners are too good right now.
Yeah, I think the Niners just match up really well with the Cowboys. You got quarterback who is more of a, he can make any pass, but really he is kind of, they're not going to let him go out and sling it. They're not going to ask Brock Purdy to fully win them the game, even though he probably could at this point, especially as he builds this great resume together. But they're not going to ask him to do that. The offensive line is fantastic. The running back, the play calling is all great. All things that the Cowboys defense doesn't like to hear because they like to get after a passing quarterback that will like to keep the ball in his hands and everything like that. That defense as well for San Francisco is going to bottle up Dallas's offense. And so I just like the Niners I don't think will actually be as close as people might think. The percentages do say that San Francisco is heavily favored, 86% or whatever it was. So
yeah, 83% picking them.
80s, yeah. So I agree kind of with that more of a percentage, even though I'm super excited for the game. Packers taking on the Raiders as Davante Adams welcomes back his former team in his new home. But I can't pick the Raiders because they're the Raiders. Go Pack Go. Aaron Jones, I think, is going to get into the fold a little bit more. That offense is going to return to what we're used to, holding on to the ball, not allowing the other team to get it. Jimmy G, obviously, with his injury concerns as well, I think will halt that offense. Josh Jacobs finally got going. I just don't think it'll be enough. I like the Pack in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Jimmy G, obviously, in concussion protocol. I think more of their quarterbacks are going to be in concussion protocol if they let Khalil Mack get 6 sacks on them again. Yeah, the Raiders' offensive line looks like the worst in the league, and I think the Packers take advantage of that. I think Jordan Love's actually having a decent year despite having a 2-2 record. I like Packers here.
All right. Well, there you have it. All 14 picks of this week because we are finally hitting the bye weeks here in the NFL. So we're going to have to piece by piece make it up these rankings. Hopefully we can go 14-0 this week and push up past that 200,000 mark as we go for the number 1 spot. We do all of our picks on ESPN. So go ahead and get your picks in. We had Champions League action today. Newcastle, Manchester City, PSG, Real Madrid yesterday, Manchester United yesterday, and more Europa League and Conference League tomorrow. But we will get to our EPL picks later this week as we preview the great Arsenal versus Manchester City clash. Possibly no Bukayo Saka after his injury against Lens. Who ended up making it 3 out of 3 against Arsenal in the Champions League yesterday. We will cover all of that and our EPL picks next time here on the webcast. Until then, we will see you.